Bang, bang.
What was that? What? What's that sound? Where? It's aliens and they're living in your town. Damn. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of
Hello, weirdos out there in Weirdo Land. How the heck is everybody doing? Of course, we had a very smooth start. It's kind of our signature move. We like to kind of tease the audience. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Doing well.
I love playing hard to get when we first start.
It's like foreplay, Beckett. It's foreplay with weirdness. I see that everyone's
Sounds right up my alley.
Everyone's drinking wine tonight here at the Weird Whatever podcast. Vicky, get a little vino in you?
Oh, yeah. I have this much already.
Why do I hear a fire behind me? Is that the
Did your air kick
condition?
on? I think your air kicked on.
Yeah, it just
Wow.
turned on.
Every single day, there's just something new here at the studio. It's just so fun to deal with. I want to get right into it. We got a lot to cover. Now, Vicky's got a hard-hitting question that she needs help from the audience, and it's a little serious. So I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit slow, a little bit emotional. Vicky, please tell the audience what's going on with you.
Well, I have someone who I have given multiple pieces of advice, psychic advice, because she always sends me pictures and I give her readings. And she is an incredible hairdresser, and she has offered to do my hair for free.
Oh.
So since I'm getting it done for free, I really need our audience to tell me. If you go back and look at my original picture from the Weird and Whatever in the early shows, I was blonde, and now I have the dark hair. So since she's willing to do it, I mean, is anybody having suggestions? Should I go back with blonde? Should I get highlights of maybe like a lighter brown to go in? And this is serious, people, because I really need your help.
Now, do you know what the haters would say?
What?
They'd say, Vicky, you're a psychic medium. Can't you just search your feelings and get the right answer?
Whatever. No, I can't decide, because anybody who's a woman who knows, like, I'm at the age where I have the gray, so it'll be like easier to a certain degree to maintain the blonde as opposed to the brown. But then again, like, I do not like brassy blonde, and my hair ends up turning like brassy. So
Let us know in the chat room. Does Vicky want to go blonde? Does she want to keep it the same? Do blondes have more fun? I've dated a few blondes, and they were miserable.
okay.
Was it because you guys were dating or because they were blind?
Oh.
Touche, Beckett. Touche. I don't know. I'm sure I was a lot to
They were in a
blame.
really bad mood for some reason all the time.
Blondes are?
I actually like the brunette. I think the brunette actually looks good.
I think you look good.
Yeah.
I think you look good, kid, the way you are.
Yeah.
Don't go changing.
What's your
Try and
natural?
please
What's your
us.
natural color?
It's like light brown.
Oh, light brown.
Yeah, light brown.
Denny's, you're awfully quiet over there. How the heck are you doing?
Chilling. Just glad, we're going and stuff. Everything seems to be working.
All right, so a lot of emails, Vicky, about some psychic problems. There was a psychic story out in the news where this woman got convicted. She was, I guess they proved that she was a psychic. She was scamming people. She was giving false readings. Clearly just kind of having someone come in there and basically, hey, Beckett, how are you? You should not marry that woman. Giving shitty advice, and they proved that, which it's kind of hard to prove in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the reason why she would have got caught is because she was charging these incredible prices in order to do that.
Let's play a round of Vicky is the judge. You find out that there's a psychic that's lying. They're not really a psychic. They are making shit up as they go along. They're charging $50 30 minutes. What's their sentence if you can prove that they are a shitty psychic?
I mean, that price isn't crazy.
150.
150. Now you're getting more in the ballpark.
350.
Yeah, now you're definitely in the park. The thing is, it's one of those double-edged swords. Me I'll say it, as a true psychic medium, I'm going to be really cutthroat because I don't want them muddying the field for everybody else who actually does have ability, who does good things for people. So I would want to go for the jugular in that respect. But I have to play the devil's advocate because they can't charge that price if no one's paying it. So if people are paying them to talk to them, Like, I know of a case where it was actually somebody that I used to work with, and she went to a psychic, and the psychic said, well, you have this curse, and you need to take all this jewelry that your father left you, and you need to go bury it on the beach. I mean, this person ended up with $300,000 worth of cash and jewels. I mean, where does the person who goes and buries their jewelry on the beach, where do they take some responsibility for doing that?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I want to throw it to Denny's on that. We are living in a time now where somebody, they're the victim. And maybe, like you're saying, they don't have the smarts, or they're emotionally, at that time, they're not all there emotionally, and they're an adult, and they don't take responsibility. They're the victim. They want to sue the person. Denny's, when does an adult have to accept some responsibility for their actions?
Yeah. So, I mean, you could apply this same exact scenario to any field. I mean, even just people getting duped on the internet. I mean, it's quite common now. I mean, since the beginning of time, actually, people being swindled. I just think some people are going to get swindled easier than others.
But are we at the point where if you get swindled, it's on you? You weren't smart enough. Say, fuck you. You're kind of...
Well, there's just...
You're a little dumb. I've been swindled before. I've been scammed before, and I felt like I was taken advantage of, and I put my heart out there, and then I got, beaten because I was naive. Should I be punished for that?
Yeah. Well, in real estate, we have a saying called caveat emptor, which is Latin, which means buyer beware. So certain, if I sell a place where it goes down in value, or they don't really like it, or it's in a neighborhood they don't appreciate, like, I did nothing wrong. They have to do some of their own research on their own side, and I can only do the things that I'm required to do as a licensee in the state of Florida. Where it changes and crosses the threshold is if I commit fraud. So I'd be interested to hear if there's ever an attorney that has prosecuted someone that pretended to be a psychic and it was actually fraudulent. Because it's one thing to be a bad stockbroker. You can be a bad stockbroker, maybe not make a lot of money, lose money for your client. It's another thing if you're Madoff and you were actually intentionally committing fraud.
So I think what you're saying is if you are a shitty stockbroker, but you're trying and in your heart you believe you're a stockbroker, even though you're shitty, you shouldn't be punished because you suck.
Your intention wasn't there.
Same thing with the psychic. If you really believe in your heart you're a psychic and you're just giving shitty advice, it's the people that are all knowing.
Yeah.
And they say, it's definitely this, it's definitely that. I'm a psychic, I'm right, give me your money. And they know that it's not real. I mean, if there's a psychic out there that's legit not a psychic and is just bullshitting people to get money from them, I think they're a dirtbag. And I get that people do have to take responsibility because they do. They do. But there is that hashtag be cool kind of a concept in life where you shouldn't be an asshole either.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like with me, if I have somebody who comes back and they're what I call a repeat customer, I will only have them as a repeat customer for a certain amount of time. And then at that point I say, you know what, at this point we're friends. So this is all free. This is whatever, because I've already, given you readings. Now we're friends. And so I move them. I won't read for them more than 2 or 3 times. You trying to get a free reading there?
I'm not going to lie. I like to believe in a lot of stuff, but the one thing I have a tough time believing in, I want to call such bullshit on, is animal psychics.
Pet psychics?
Oh, yeah, pet psychics. Only because anybody could do that. Oh, I've got your pet goat here. Oh, your pet goat's kind of lonely and depressed. He'd love a friend. $150, please.
Right.
Well, the difference is I have read for animals before. And like, for instance, one time I read for a horse. Well, I actually read twice. I read for a horse. And the horse told me what was wrong with it. And then I told the owner what to do. And they saw a marked improvement in the horse's performance and how they felt.
Please tell me at some point while you were talking to the horse, you said, why such a long face?
No, I wasn't in person with I actually just used a picture.
I'm sure you've heard that horse joke before.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the
so-
saddle.
So we all agree if someone's purposely trying to deceive you, they should
They-
go to jail?
Yeah, there should be some kind of punishment for taking that kind of money from vulnerable people.
In your life, have you ever deceived somebody? When you were younger, maybe you didn't mean to, or maybe you did mean to. In fact, let me pose the question, have you ever deceived somebody and you knew it was wrong and you look back now and regret that? Or am I just working with a bunch of nuns here?
I used to be the king of avoiding confrontation and white lies when it comes to clients and relationships. And as I've become older, I think I've become way less bad. I think we've talked about one of the great things about getting older is you give an F less in the sense that kind of like, hey, this is who I am. This is how it is. And you don't like it, obviously with some couth around it and some empathy. But especially in my 20s and dating, I think I was I was really bad at being very candid and direct. So I think I was kind of deceiving in that way, if that makes sense.
Would you say you were that way because A, you didn't like confrontation, and B, you didn't want to hurt someone's feelings?
Yeah, and I think probably both equally, to be honest. But I find that sometimes by trying not to hurt someone, you actually hurt them more in the long term.
Gosh, man, Beckett, Denny, you better have some good random facts today, because I do agree with that. There's been times where I've tried to be such a polite, almost like a banker. Oh, do you want to? Let me get your business. Kind of professional, cold, but trying to be not cold, and it comes off way cold. And you might as well just be so super honest,
right?
But sometimes, though, Beckett, people don't really like being honest. They like hearing it.
Right. Well, I think you got to pick your battles, and there's times when sometimes just admitting things are probably better. But I think in terms of relationships and business, it's always better to be direct. Not a dick, because like you can be a jerk.
There's a fine line.
You can be a jerk, and it's an art probably to know that balance.
My last breakup, I honestly feel like I was not a jerk, and I was 110% honest with everything. And man, did that backfire.
Oh, yeah.
It was, Vicky, you being the female here, what the shit?
Yeah, I know, because we always say, you know what, I just don't care as long as you tell me the truth. And then when you tell us the truth, we're like, because we didn't really want, because we still have in the back of our minds that, no, that wasn't what was going on. That's not how you feel, whatever. So honestly, I will speak for me. I won't speak for all women, but a lot of times we ask for honesty, and no, we don't.
I felt like I was kind. I felt like I was gentle, and I felt like I really was present in the moment, plural, because it happened a lot. And it's still I still was the asshole.
Yeah.
Well,
I
just
can see
because
that.
someone reacts a certain way doesn't mean that you did something right or wrong. You handled it the right or wrong way, right? Someone may react fine to something and you handled it the wrong way, and vice versa. So
Denny's right or wrong. Interesting dichotomy, isn't it not? You my friend.
Yes, Professor.
You, my friend, have an opinion on right or wrong, good versus evil. Is there such a thing as both?
Yeah, well, it depends how you're looking at, how far you're zooming out the microscope, I guess you could say, to what you would consider right or wrong. Everything's, I would consider more in the shades of gray, but it depends if you're going by a moral standpoint or a survival standpoint. It depends on where you're scoping it from.
Do you feel like there is a thing that is evil out there, or is that just a definition us humans have given?
So I do believe, there is evil behavior for sure that we all kind of shudder at. I think a normal person, that their normal brain develops, there is what people consider good and bad. We have a conscience because we acknowledge it, and then we teach people at a young age to let people know there is a conscience and moral. But a lot of that is probably to help society prosper. I mean,
and to keep it from it not turning into the purge.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of it's probably just to keep the gears turning, because if everybody focuses, you can see why the system is designed like it is. It's designed to get people to do a function in society to keep the gears turning. That's really the main goal. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care whether you become a guitar player or a singer or good at video games. Nobody cares about that stuff. All they want you to do is to serve a purpose in society in order to stimulate the economy and keep, the machine working. That's really what it comes down to. If you look at it like that point, then, I mean, is that evil that they're using people as batteries until they die?
But when you look at it that way, you take the heart and the soul out of it, it gets real cold out there.
It gets real cold, but I mean, is that evil, or is that just, just how we function over here?
Is survival evil?
I mean, you see a snake eat baby chickens. That's sad. It's crippling to watch.
It's terrible.
But is that evil? It's the purpose of the snake.
I mean, I think we could probably name the date, the day of the week when we saw that horrific ducking.
Oh, yeah.
That duck raping. It was terrible. We were we thought someone was trying to break, and I apologize to the audience who has heard this story 11 times now, but we were living together at the time. We thought someone was breaking into our apartment. And we go outside, and it was a duck taking another duck, and it was horrific to watch. It was nature, and I think they were doing what nature's supposed to do, but I don't know, man. It made me feel, and it made you feel uneasy.
Well, I would have to.
So you watched.
I would say.
for a good 11 minutes because we could not believe what was going on.
I think we broke it up at one point, which caused a fury with the male duck.
Well, we tried to break it up, and then I think we had a question after. Did we step in when we shouldn't have stepped in? Should we have let nature take nature? Vicky, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as hard as it is, nature should have just
Yeah.
taken
We
its
should
course.
have. We should have not got involved with that ducking.
Yeah, not got involved.
You didn't know the context. You didn't know if they've been dating for a while or.
Vicky, I still lay in bed at night and I hear the quacks.
Well, so I think I looked up the stats. It was somewhere like that 65% of duck intercourse is unconsensual.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's rough. It's a high stat. They're one of the ones that have that.
Do you know why they have
Who
tail
did they
feathers?
ask?
Donald Duck.
Well, so, all right, I'll throw some duck stuff at you because I got pretty deep into the subject. It's pretty rough. So female vaginas in the ducks, what they do is they try to deceive the male ducks because of the amount of unconsensual sex. So they have multiple cavities, which are false cavities that the male duck, which is shaped like a corkscrew, could go into. So, but here's what's funny: the male duck is adapted to it too. So they'll grow multiple corkscrews so they can poke multiple holes at once. And it's a vicious cycle. They keep evolving to constantly unconsensually have sex.
It's interesting to hear you to talk about this because clearly you've done the research.
Yeah, well, when we saw that, it stuck with me.
I want to ask your wife, who's in the audience right now, and you don't have to go on the microphone, Jen, but when you hear your man talk like a duck professor, does that kind of turn you on a little bit?
I mean, we watched a lot of documentaries.
Yeah.
A lot of documentaries?
Do you know why ducks have tail feathers?
Oh, Becky, now you're trying to one up. You're trying to one up Dick Duck Corkscrew over here. Dick Duck Corkscrew.
Dick duck.
That's tough to say, by the way.
Duck dick.
Dick Duck Corkscrew.
Dr. Duck Dick.
No, why? So they could shake him? I don't know.
What's your duck fact?
To cover their butt quack.
Oh, it's a joke.
Oh, no.
That's a granddad joke.
I almost forgot the punchline for a second.
Well, I thought it was real at first.
I thought it was
until
like a
I reeled.
random
I
fact.
tell you, not only was it a shitty joke, but you almost missed the punchline.
I thought it was real at first. It took a second.
That's
for
one
it
of
to
the
click.
jokes. That's one of those jokes everyone hates, and then they'll find themselves retelling it at the
Well-
next social gathering.
Well, clearly, with this conversation, I think it might be time for some
Denny's random facts.
Nice. That's good though. I actually like cheesy jokes like that.
We love it, Beck. We welcome it and we honor it.
Thank you.
What do you guys think? Is this fair or foul? In Spain, people that are owed a debt can hire men in top hats and black suits to haunt the person that owes money. All they do is stand silently near them at all times, either outside their house, outside restaurants they're eating, until they finally pay the debts.
If you're tuning in for the first time, Denny's gives these factoids. Vicky is our educator. She grades Denny's facts A to F. Vicky, on that factoid, what would you give them?
I actually like that one. I got to give him an A.
They still do it today. In fact, that type of profession is despised. Like, people scoff at those people because they hate them so much. They're kind of like, tax collectors stuff.
How much do they get paid?
They must get paid pretty well. I bet you they're kind of like paparazzi-esque, but it's only in Spain. There's no law against it.
Are we out of wine?
Yeah.
We got to start bringing 3 bottles over this bitch.
The dad jokes are only going to get better.
I mean, 1 bottle for this crew?
These heathens. All right, neat. Well, let that one sink in while I jump to this next one.
I mean, I liked it, Denny's.
Oh, what do you think about this? This is kind of weird. In the 1900s, Argentina had a tax on unmarried men.
Shit, so I would be.
You
I'd
would
be
ta-
screwed.
taxed every year. The only exemptions were single men who had proposed to a woman but were rejected. So, of course, in an attempt, we're talking about morals and scamming, women started opening up rejection businesses where you could propose to them and they could reject so you can get tax exemptions.
Damn, I might go into that. I was engaged once, Beckett.
Oh, you were?
Once.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'd love to get more backstory on that.
We'll drink some wine. Oh, wait, we don't have any wine.
I got to give that one an A because you tied it into tax season. So
Oh, yeah. So, look at
So he
that.
gets grades for being topical?
yes, okay.
All right, well,
I hate tax season.
I think Vicky's letting the wine get to her. I thought that was a B.
That's why there's none left for Beckett. I got started early.
You guys have to switch to whiskey.
That's right.
Beckett's
I-
game.
Do you want some whiskey?
Sure.
Denny's, go on. Keep going. I'm listening because, my whiskey's right around the corner.
So this will be a fun space fact for Beckett over here.
And I'm listening, Denny's.
I know you are. Let's see here. I didn't know this, but Jupiter actually protects the Earth because its center of gravity is so strong that it pulls a ton of asteroids and comets that venture near it from hitting the Earth. It's actually considered the vacuum cleaner of the solar system.
That's awesome.
Dense gravity.
Yeah, I hate to repeat, but I don't know. That's kind of an A too.
Nice.
You brought your A game tonight.
You're gonna have to give
Yeah.
Vicky wine every night before your
Yeah.
fast.
I think the red wine's talking right down that brand.
Honestly, Denny's, I'm not that impressed.
Diddy's just got
I'm gonna
another
get a
A.
lot of flack in the chat room.
You're the-
Giving me
Diddy's
3
just
A's
got
in a
another
row.
A.
I heard.
You're the kitchen.
Beckett, shit, my kitchen's only 20 feet away, Beckett. I heard.
So I love with the good stuff. Let's see where this goes here. Again, just super blew my mind here. There's a rare breed of pig called sheep pig, which are capable of producing wool just like normal sheep.
Sheep pig?
They're sheep pig.
All right, now I think you know where I stand on that one. A motherfucking plus.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like it.
I love it. Denny's.
Weird, right? You guys know King Louis the 14th of France.
I am the king. I am. What's that? What's
That
that
was
one?
Henry VIII.
What's that
Yeah.
one? What is that song though?
Henry the Eighth, I am.
There's no way our speakers are not destroyed. Days, we have to buy our 6 pair of speakers.
Yeah.
I think that's the only British accent I can do.
You sound like you're from London.
Give me something British.
I think that's all I
No,
got.
say a sentence in British to Denny's.
Give me a sentence to say.
No, off the top of the dome. Come on. We're all going to test our improv skills tonight.
You think you're all cool with your little facts, you bloke. Oh, that's Australian, I think. I haven't had any whiskey yet.
It sounded like when Siri speaks British.
All right, I'm giving you a shot of whiskey, Beckett. In 10 minutes, you're getting back to doing your British accent because that was shitty.
All right. I don't think I have a good British accent.
You do not. All right, Denny's, as you were.
All right, so King Louis XIV had a bunch of bizarre rules. He ruled until he was like 76, which was rare for the kings back then. But he had a bunch of weird rules. One of the rules was that no person was allowed to knock on his door. Instead, they had to scratch the door with their left pinky fingernail. In fact, it led to a trend where people grew out their left pinky nail so they could scratch doors.
I thought it was for cocaine.
Yeah.
Well, I think it became
Well, I think it
that.
became
Yeah.
that. The 80s really kicked that one into motion.
I mean, people in power, if you have that kind of power, you can make up whatever kind of rule you want. Totally messed up.
Well, that's what we call the golden rule. He with all the gold makes all the rules.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You quoting Game of Thrones up in here?
Is that a Game of Thrones quote?
It
No.
sounds throny.
I don't know.
It does sound Thronesy.
Yeah.
The Lannisters always pay
I've
their
never seen
debts.
it.
Never seen Game of Thrones? We will not talk about Game of Thrones because it alienates part of our audience and they get really pissed off and they threaten to not watch the show anymore.
I have a fear of commitment. I just know if I watch it, it's like cocaine. Like I've never done cocaine. I don't think it would not be fun. That's why I never have done it because it's bad for you, right? Like, so why try something? So if I do a Game of Thrones, then I'm gonna have to watch all 8 seasons. So I don't want to get addicted to it.
Dude, get some yay and watch all 8 seasons.
Just so you know, our studio audience here did find a picture of a sheep
Look at
pig.
that sheep pig.
Okay, I know the audience likes me giving them a
It's
shout out.
actually kind of cute.
Thank you to
Yeah, they make wool from
the
them.
audience listening right now. We've got the chat room going. I will say a little hurt. We've got 44 people watching, which is awesome. We love that. Make some noise for the weirdos watching. Here's where it gets hurtful. Only 5 likes, y'all. You mean tell me we can't go an inch and just hit that one button?
Yeah.
All right, in 3 minutes,
I'll like it.
I'm gonna see if that 5 goes up to 10.
I like it.
All right, Dennis, keep
Dream
going.
big.
So yeah, he had another rule just to piggyback off that last one. He had another rule where men had to bow and hold position until the female had completely left eyesight. So men would be standing in position and women would be walking by and they would have to hold that. It was another weird rule. Of his.
But was that to honor the woman?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's nice.
I like it.
I like that. A lot of times you don't hear good shit happening to women back then.
Yeah. Well, he had a lot of rules. It was a lot about etiquette towards women. In fact, a majority of the rules were gentlemen were to act as gentlemen.
That was the rule of thumb, right?
In
Yeah.
fact, we got called out. I didn't print the email, but the term was Denny's and Bert are a bunch of cucks, and it was because And you might have been.
Cucks.
You might
Is
have
that a
been.
cuckolding?
Yeah, well, I guess that's a term for guys that are soft or they're
No, those are the kind of guys that like to see their girlfriends or wives.
No. That is in a sexual world. Yes, we know. But I'm talking about when you're not going in that world. If you have a view on something, you're seen as soft, or you are so woke in today's day and age that you get called down from that. And you had the one fact about women could not open up a credit card until 1970 something, and we were like, what?
Yeah.
We can't believe that. And then people were calling us a bunch of cucks. Oh, you guys are just trying to get laid. You don't give a shit about women. You're fake outrage.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that was the.
I thought that was crazy.
I still think that's crazy.
I feel like for women it was rough a long time.
Vicky, you again did not think that was a big deal.
No, because I'm considering the times. The husbands most of them had the jobs. The women were homemakers.
It does
so
make sense.
to me, it just made sense.
There is a thing where we judge things of the past in modern times. For example, you'll see a movie that was made in 75, but people are judging it on a 2020 standard.
Yeah.
And it's, y'all, it ain't going to work that way. Because comedy was different. Society was different.
Well, even that song, Baby It's Cold Outside, if you listen to the first verse, all right, the guy sounds creepy, right? But if you listen to the second verse, it's the woman turning it around on the guy.
Right.
And then he gets uncomfortable about staying.
Right.
It's a total play on gender.
Well, there's that term that's out there. It's called fake outrage.
Yeah.
Nobody is mad about Baby It's Cold Outside. It is
It's
the
a radio
smallest
topic.
sliver of the most unhappy people in the world. And they might not even be that unhappy. They just want to stir it up. Nobody's mad about that song.
No.
Nobody is mad about Baby It's Cold Outside.
No.
I don't give a shit what even if the people that think they're mad, they're not mad about it. They're not.
And I think people need to learn to pick the battles. There's so many important things that actually matter go on to like focus your energy on something like that. Like actually like put it to something like, you know, like the enslavement that they were doing during the Super Bowl in terms of like getting rid of child trafficking. Like focus on that, like an actual problem. Don't like make a molehill into a mountain. This is my opinion.
So us being in the media, that's why we tell you guys this stuff, because we see it behind the scenes of what people are trying to do.
Right.
People need content so much. Everybody.
Every day. Now YouTubers need content on top of networks.
Whether it's YouTube, whether it is network TV, whether it's a morning show, whether it is the news, everybody needs content. So they need content that's going to move the needle. Nobody gives a shit about Baby It's Cold Outside, but they know if they make it a big deal, like people are mad about Baby It's Cold Outside, then people are going to react, and then it becomes a thing. But no one's really mad at that.
Right.
Plus,
Because no one's that big of a fucking moron.
Right.
they need content, and what they do is there's people now whose jobs are to enrage. Bless you.
Bless you.
So their jobs are to enrage. So people will take positions on stuff they probably are pretty loose on, but they'll take a position on it because they know it's a platform immediately, and the people will have them on the show because they know they're going to argue against their point.
Retweet.
Totally.
Retweet.
So it's all this stuff is stirring up people for no reason. People are getting really stirred up over very
my
little
aunt
things.
my aunt Ann went to the urn getting mad at all this shit on Twitter and on Facebook. I'm like, Ann, it's not real. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect you. Go feed the ducks. Don't give them bread though, because bread is terrible for ducks.
Yeah.
As I've been told.
Yeah.
But go pet a dog.
Yep. It's an interesting question, actually, like for the media, because I saw networks like CNN and all these other networks do kind of a retroactive indictment on themselves. They're like, did we help cause Donald Trump to get elected because we talked about him so much?
Let's take it easy now, Becky.
Right? I'm just saying, whether you like him or not, I'm just saying that's what they said, because they tend to have a negative slant on him. And good, right, or wrong, or indifferent, they were like, we talked about it so much. So my point is that with Baby It's Cold Outside, does the media hype it up by talking about a fringe that's talking about it? Does that make sense? And rather than just ignoring it and not bringing it up in media, and then it doesn't become such a thing. So what's the balance? But then the media feels like they have a duty to cover it.
Vicky, what are your thoughts? Do you actually trust the media?
Oh no.
Is there any media you trust? Other than the Weird and Whatever podcast?
Even India.
I don't call us media.
Other than
I call
the
us
accurate-
mediums.
Yeah, mediocre.
Yeah, no, I'm one of those people that when I see something, like on the Facebook feed or whatever, I don't believe it. I'll go and try to research it before I react or overreact to something.
Absolutely.
And
It's just so much of it is just made up.
You're
Yeah.
right. And I think it's easy, too, for us humans to get just upset about things. I think it's in our DNA. I think we react. Some of us react more than others, but I think we get fired up about shit. Do you think, okay, for example, and I won't spend too much time on it. I'm sick of talking about it, but just as a shorthand here, the whole halftime show of the Super Bowl with Shakira and J-Lo, so many people were offended by it, but offended for different reasons. And then some dumbasses got the flag wrong. They're like, oh, blah, 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 that's not our country. They were wrong about that. They were wrong about it. It's weird to me when something offensive happens, you want to shut it down and not talk to your kids about it. If you see something out in public, okay, Vicky, you're a parent. You see something out in public that you don't want your child to see, but it's out in public. You can't control everything that your kid sees. Do you take that time to get offended and get outraged, or do you take the time to maybe talk to your kid and teach them and have a communication moment?
Well,
with
my
them?
kid is here, and she will tell you that anything that's ever come up that we've seen, whether it's out in public or it's in the media or whatever, I always address it then and there. Depending on their age, I may have, made it more age appropriate in my explanation of it, but I don't think it does anybody any good to completely shelter your children from what's going on in life.
I completely agree. I grew up in a household where I was sheltered a lot. My mom didn't let us out. And, growing up and as I got older, when I had to go out in the real world, I was a little behind. And I wish I wasn't behind. Sometimes you do have to be prepared for some of the bullshit out there.
When I was growing up, my mom didn't censor what I read. And I read quite a few racy novels back in the day.
Vicky, yeah.
But the only thing my mom said, she said, well, read it all with a grain of salt, which means don't, take everything to think that it's all true or whatever. But she didn't stop me from exposing myself to different things because she wasn't going to sit down and have that conversation with me. So she'd probably rather I read it in a book, but she didn't censor. And I turned out okay, I think.
So I just saw a really interesting interview where this guy was talking about, so if you hear a lot of stuff about safe spaces in colleges, this is all kind of a newer concept. You hear safe spaces and I'm triggered. That's kind of a newer concept. And they think why that's going on now is because for the first time ever in human history, people who grew up in the time period where they only grew up with technology, for example, Denny's, myself, Beckett, we are kind of in that generation where and you too, Vicky, where you grew up. I only leave you out only because it started to be implemented in our college, and it wasn't when you would go to college, but technology, as we were young adults, started becoming everyday life where I had to learn shit in college all of a sudden about computers and the internet. And that was probably my early 20s.
Just FYI, I took a computer class in high school.
I'm not-
That's before you aged me too much.
I'm not saying, no, I'm not talking about computer stuff. I took a computer class in high school. I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about the internet, all that stuff that when it hit, I was a early adult. I wasn't a teenager. I was like in my early 20s. I'm not saying that you're not smart. I'm just saying that age group wasn't implemented in their education like kids that were before us. Kids they grew up with all kind of technology where when we were growing up, we were reading books and then I turned 20. You got to get on a computer. We're the only generation that kind of had. I would throw your generation in that too.
Yeah, and it's kind of difficult for those of us from my generation who are teachers because more and more they are implementing computer programs and things like that doesn't require the teacher. I personally think it's a way for them to get rid of teachers so they don't have to pay us, so they can just stick a bunch of kids on a computer, but that's just my conspiracy theory.
I totally hear you. But they're saying now the kids that grew up with just technology, hiding behind a computer, just texting all the time, didn't really get real life experiences going out there. They are now getting into college and they don't know how to react to shit that does not go their way. So when they go out there and they're offended, they don't know, they've never been told that their way is wrong, or there might be a different point of view, or there's several ways to score from third base to home. They're not equipped for that. Now, those are not my words. That's the study that's going on, but it does kind of make a little bit of sense. Vicky, I see you making a fence.
Well, to me, they would have to be, that means they didn't go to public school. Because in public school, you still have a classroom, you still have a set of rules, you are still socializing with your peers. So to me, if you're not able to cope and interact with people, that means you were like virtual school or homeschooled or something like that.
The study goes further to say relationships outside of school, meaning you go to school to learn, and then your weekends, your vacations, everything outside of school, and sometimes even school. I mean, but you're just so attached to technology that you're not equipped to handle some of the real world problems, and that's why you are seeing some things like safe spaces. Why all of a sudden did those things start to happen?
My humble opinion is that what happened is, it's like the rich kid growing up that has like all this therapy and he's got no issues. So then he has problems with his dad and his mom, and like their things start to like form themselves. Like you always have to have a certain level of drama, I think. Yeah. So some people make up their own drama. So I think, everyone refers to our greatest generation ever is our grandparents that went and fought in World War II. And growing up, like you were worried about, the safety of your kids and your family and paying the bills in the Great Depression and World War I and World War II and Vietnam and women's rights and all of these things. And then I think life gets a little cushy. And I think that our generation is kind of the trust fund kids because we're enjoying all the freedoms that have happened from all the previous generations. So instead of having to worry about other things, we start to focus on the minutia of things. That's just my humble opinion.
Yeah,
and we start to bring things up that shouldn't really be a big deal.
And I'm not saying what I heard was right, but I have noticed since 2014, there is a thing where there are safe spaces now, and people are so offended where you can't even make a mistake with your language, and if you do, you're threatened to lose your job on some cases.
No, I mean, even in classrooms, we have to create our little safe spot in classrooms now for
Why
kids
do you think
who
that
need
is, though, in your opinion?
Well, honestly, the trend is in the classroom, what we're seeing is that we have kids that do not effectively deal with the way they are feeling. So in order for them to do that and not harm another student, you have to have a little place for them to go on their little cool down corner and for them to do that. I mean, I was teaching before I ever would even think about having a cool down corner. I mean, I was the teacher. I provided a safe environment within that classroom. And if anybody had a problem, they knew they would just come directly to me and say that they were overwhelmed or whatever. So I was the safe corner. But now they suggest that you have this little corner in your classroom for people to go and sit and chill.
But that's not practical in the real world, though.
Exactly.
I mean, but that's their point.
Exactly.
They're saying this whole thing where they're so coddled now.
Right.
They don't know how to. I mean, imagine you get a job and the boss comes down on you and you have to go to your safe space. Bye, bitch, you're fired.
Yeah, exactly.
What if
sports, life, competition, like that's life.
10 years from now, though, they might have safe spaces in every business, like how we have.
And that's the common thing. And now you play audio of me 10 years from now. Listen to this old son of a bitch, this motherfucker.
This hate monger.
Talking about safe spaces. Can you believe this bitch? I mean,
Yeah.
Like,
who
you'll sound ignorant.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. And I see it in the school all the time. We are doing way too much for our children. We should not be the ones cleaning the cafeteria tables. We should not be the ones sweeping. We should not be the ones. I mean, I object to even our dismissal because back in the day, our kids sat down, they were quiet, and they watched for their car, and they got into their car. Now they have to be put in a safe room, and they get their number called, and then they have to come out just a few at a time to get in their car, and somebody holds the car door for them, and they close it for them. No, let them do it themselves.
Yeah, that's on. It makes me out. It just blows my mind.
Yeah. And then, like, when especially the cafeteria and things like that, well, when my kids were in the cafeteria, we had floor sweepers and table washers. Well, then some parent complained because their kid was touching a rag in the cafeteria. But now you expect me as a college graduate
Yeah.
to clean the table? No, I don't think so. I didn't make the mess.
Well, I consider I have a lot of emotional problems. I have a lot of legit, I have to sit down with a therapist kind of issues. So I feel like I have a heart when it comes to people who struggle. I really do. Because I know life is hard. I know that we are all weird. It's tough. But it's when people are just, like what you're talking about, they don't have manners, and they don't
Right.
they don't respect people,
Right.
and you have to coddle somebody for everything.
Right.
That's fucking insane to me.
And they really
It's
haven't been
insane.
taught the basics. Like, I hold the door open for a building in the morning. I will have, let's just say I've had 30 kids go through that doorway. Out of those 30, 2 kids will say thank you to me for holding that door.
Oh, that's
Horse-
a pet peeve of mine.
Horse
Oh, yeah.
shit. Horse shit.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
hate it.
That's a pet peeve of mine for sure.
It's gone, man. There's no manners on the internet. Why would there be manners in real life?
But then people are going to say, you all sound like you're old and out of touch. Bullshit.
Manners don't go out of
There's a manner
style.
problem, bitches. All right, let's get back to something real weird here. Now, people always want an update about my ghost situation. This was a weird one, Vicky.
Well, do you want me to tell you what I got when I felt it first before you tell me any information?
Well, let me intro it to the audience.
Okay.
So there's been something that's gone on here at my place where something's flown off the wall, and I'm like, all right, that's weird. I saw it flown off the wall, and it's consistent. This will fall off, and then this was one of the weirder ghost-like things that have happened to me ever since we've done any kind of ghosting. Now, this is a sign that says kindness matters. I love this sign. I love it. It's one of my favorite pieces of any kind of decor I have in my place. I put it over my bathroom, and there's even like a little hinge area where it kind of can rest. Now, like I said, this thing has flown off. The other night, it was on my area, over my bathroom. I woke up 3 hours later. It was in my bed. What the fuck?
it makes sense. Now, you know that I asked for you to hand this to me prior to the show.
Yes.
So you did not tell me any of that prior to the show.
None.
The first thing I did is when I picked it up, I felt super, super dizzy. And I said to you, I feel really dizzy. And you said, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Well, I also felt, and now that totally makes sense when you said that, a lot of times when I feel dizzy, if it's not connected to a human being, that means it's connected to a vortex, which is an opening between two worlds. So it makes total sense when you said where that was located, and the fact that I was dizzy and I was thinking vortex, that totally makes sense.
Becky,
now.
you go up to pee at, I don't know, 12 a.m. Kindness matters signs on on your wall. You wake up at 3 a.m. and kindness matters signs in your bed. What are your thoughts?
Am I spooning it?
You're dry humping it.
Now, that would freak me out. And you don't sleepwalk at all?
I've sleptwalked before in my time. I haven't done it in a minute, but yeah, I have a couple times I've sleptwalked for sure. I got really fucked up sleeping patterns. I have
Yeah, we saw.
for a long time though, and whether that's ghost related or if that's my own interpersonal demons, I don't know. It's just a fact. I have a tough time sleeping.
I mean, the night we had the cameras on him, he didn't get up and sleepwalk. That's the
Got
only
it.
thing I say for that one particular night. He did not get up and sleepwalk.
Yeah, I don't consistently sleepwalk, but I have gotten up and woken up in the kitchen and don't remember why I'm in the kitchen.
I don't know, man. Maybe you need to be more kind.
Get out of my house right now. If you ever talk to me like that way in front of Vicky again.
Clearly, it matters.
That's a side.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I mean,
that is a
we
sign,
can't
literally.
agree. I want to show this to the audience. So this is the sign right here, kindness matters. And for whatever reason, whatever's here does not like this sign at all.
Well, what I want you to do is I want you to put it back up, but I want you to secure it more. Right now, I guess it just has the one place where you would put it at the top. I want you to take some of those command sticky things that you would put on the back of a picture, and I want you to put it on the nail or whatever you have, and then I want you to put 2 of the command things on either side of the bottom, and let's see if it moves that.
So when I was sleeping, clearly as I'm sleeping, this had to have it all
Flown.
It had to have hovered in the air and then gone.
No, it didn't hover. It flew.
Like a boomerang.
Yeah.
Was it trying to hit me in the head?
it was trying to get your attention for sure.
It worked.
Where was
Yeah.
it in the bed?
Right by the base of my feet, kind of where the thing was grabbing me.
Yeah.
It likes my feet. It's got a foot fetish. It's okay, baby. I like my feet touched.
That's funny.
But it is time for us to go ahead and, especially with this thing flying, maybe the first time you put it back up, don't put the command things like I suggested. Maybe put it up the way you have been, and we can run the cameras more than one night and see if we can get that thing to come off.
What does the audience think with this whole kindness matters sign? Let us know in the comment section. I do want to say thank you to everybody in the chat room who put a like there. 38 likes now.
Hey.
One dislike. Who's the dick that disliked us?
It's not me.
I would love to know who this is, though. Where are they at their house? Just going out. These people are having fun.
If you click on it, can you tell?
No, you can't.
can't?
No, you hide. You're a coward. If you dislike this video, show yourself.
Thumbs down, tough guy.
Show your face. I know who you are. The coward from Broward.
YouTube's weird. It doesn't let you see.
Oh, people, I mean, we won't even start the KVJ show, and there'll be 2 dislikes. People just fucking love to hate, man. They could hit the dislike button for many reasons. They could think I'm lying about the kindness matters. They could not like Vicky being a psychic. They could think Beckett is way too loud and obnoxious with his laugh. They could think Denny's is just too damn perfect.
No.
Just too damn sweet.
I can understand that.
Let us know in the chat room. But yeah, if you guys do, damn, 2 dislikes. Fuck you.
Because you mentioned it.
Fuck those people. And it's because I'm swearing too.
That's true.
People don't like when I swear, but yeah, fuck 'em.
Oh, I have an assignment for Denny's. If he doesn't already know, I want to know why they call catfish catfishing. I mean, where did they get the term from?
I do know, and I think Bird as well. Just it's so funny your fascination with this topic. Occasionally we watch catfishing videos about the art of it, and Jason often compares them to the serial killer who doesn't kill.
I'm sorry, catfishers are serial killers who do not kill. They're non-violent, but they are trying to ruin your life. They're trying to kill you emotionally.
I think the term comes from if you catch a fish and it's on the line, you think it's a big fish. When you reel it in and you get a catfish, you're bummed out because you think it was a real fish, not a catfish.
Yeah, catfish sucks.
So that's what I guess the premise of catfishing.
I'm Southern. I like catfish.
Really?
Some
Of those people, have you seen those people that arm catfish? Like where they like actually like catch them in the river with like just like without a fish.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell Beckett was born on the good side of the tracks because we eat catfish at Red Lobster, dog.
They serve catfish at Red Lobster?
Hell yeah.
Really?
Yes, they have catfish at Red Lobster. And they got them great cheddar biscuits.
Those biscuits you love.
Oh, you don't know about them biscuits.
I don't.
As you were
But yeah, I think that's where the term comes from. Getting the catfish instead of like a snook or something. But it adopts to the premise of it. You're tricking people.
Yeah.
I never quite understood what the end game is, aside from just
That's
watching.
a great
somebody-
question. I've asked the same thing. What's the end game?
I know
What's the
what
end
it is. It's an emotional rush. Somebody is now playing God, and you have a place of power. Power is a drug. So when you are the puppet master pulling the strings, and it's almost like playing The Sims, but it's real life, and you're getting off on that.
Right. So it's like sexting with someone when they're like, oh, let's actually meet. And you're like, eh.
I just think some people like to have any kind of power. Let's say someone has no power in their life.
Yeah.
And then this is the one shot where they are, controlling something. Yeah. It's screwed up, but I think the psychology behind it makes sense.
But I
Yeah.
just saw an episode where it was because there was this girl and she had a crush on the other girl that lived in the same sorority house. And she wanted to get to know her better, but not seem creepy about asking her these personal questions. So she pretended to be a man in order to talk to her to find out more about her. So that was a little bit different.
We talk about that. It's caveat emptor, buyer beware in the beginning of the podcast. At a certain point, there's some culpability for the person that's getting catfished. If you are carrying on a relationship with someone that refused to meet up with you or FaceTime you, nowadays with technology, it's not like you're writing letters to each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on.
It's a hard thing to take responsibility, especially when it's something you're embarrassed about.
Yeah, losing money, losing a relationship, those are embarrassing.
I've been there before where you are embarrassed because look, we are all weird. We are all dumb at points in our life. We're all vulnerable. We're all emotionally distraught at times. give yourself a break sometimes. It's okay to get duped. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to.
100% agree.
You don't have to be so
happens.
hard on yourself. I mean, we are all looking to fit in on some level. Even the loners. The loners are alone. Sometimes they're a loner because they feel like they can't fit in, so that's their only way. But human beings need connection. They need to fit in somehow, some way. And sometimes when someone feels like they're not connecting or belonging, it turns them into a weirdo, and not the good kind of weirdo. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying why something is.
100%. But you know that Notre Dame linebacker I think we brought up that got really embarrassed and catfished, and it was like a whole thing.
yeah.
Mantow?
Yeah. It was, and that was like he was carrying on. Like it's one thing to get duped and be weird and do all those things and find a connection. It's another thing like you're trying to carry on a relationship and it defies common sense where you haven't tried to meet up with this person, you haven't tried to FaceTime them, you haven't tried to talk on the phone, like all of that, and you're like saying this is my girlfriend. You know, that's playing into it, don't you think? Like that's beyond the pale.
I think it's hard to admit, but sometimes you have to say, I screwed up. Loneliness makes people do
Crazy
really
stuff.
That's
stupid
fair.
shit, man.
Yeah.
That's
Stupid
fair.
and sad stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all can admit at some point in our life we've been lonely. It's part of the human condition.
Right.
It's fair.
I can think back when I was lonely, doing really stupid shit to try to get someone to notice me or like me, and I look back now with wisdom and go, damn, Bird, what the shit?
Totally.
The cringe.
Yeah.
Totally, 100%.
I wrote a girl a song called, her name was Shanna, and we went on one date. Didn't go that well. I probably should have taken that hint.
The cue.
I ended up writing a song for her called Shanna Banana, and it was not very good. And I dropped it off at her work. Creepy much?
No, I think it's cool.
Vicky,
It's not bad.
Vicky, you're looking at me like I'm
No,
creepy.
that's probably why you're still single.
Oh, jeez.
I was 19 at the time.
I'm sorry, 19. You were responsible for your actions.
No, I agree, but now I want to be single, Vicky. It's too much. I'm sorry.
I know it is a little much.
It's nice to be single. It really is.
Yeah, I like being single. I'm not a serial monogamist or serial dater. Like I'm happy either way.
I'm not against love or anything, but I will say there's less pressure being single.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
Now, if the pressure is good kind of pressure and it excites you, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a friend, her ex-husband said, when you're single, you don't have the high highs and the low lows. Because like when you're in a relationship, you're going up and down, up and down, up and down. But when you're single, you're just like this. So
Yeah.
You're just steady going.
Yeah, I mean, not to say if you're single, you're not gonna have bouts of loneliness. I think you do, but as soon as you get involved with anybody, even on a date level, now there's a whole thing. You go on a date with one person, there's at least a week of something you have to deal with if you're not a complete dirtbag. And I'm not saying that in my early times I didn't ghost somebody. I think we've all ghosted somebody, but you try not to do that as you get older. So just going on a single date now, it's not just a date. It's kind of a thing.
Well, I have a good friend of mine, she's getting out of a marriage and it was a toxic situation and the guy was being pretty horrible. And I told her, I go, listen, just because you're out of a marriage doesn't mean you're going to be lonely. Sometimes being in a relationship, I have some friends that have been the most lonely they've ever been in the context of a relationship. And I have people that have been single that have been the least lonely ever
Absolutely.
in a thing. So don't think of it as a binary dichotomy in the sense that like, oh, you're in this marriage and you're not lonely and you're single and you're going to be extremely lonely. It's when you're happy and fulfilled that you don't feel lonely, whether that's with friends, family, another loved one or dating or hooking
Your
up
work.
or married, happily married. It could be either one,
We get a lot of emails from people suffering from depression, anxiety, OCD, all that kind of stuff. And it's really tough to deal. I think everybody has that to a certain level. I mean, wouldn't you say we all have a little bit of depression?
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
A little
definitely.
OCD, little anxiety.
Everyone is on the spectrum in some ways. Everyone has a little bit of everything. Everyone has a little bit of trouble paying attention. Everyone gets a little sad.
What?
It's whether or not that affects your school, that affects your, like the depression affects your relationships, and you stay there, right?
Yeah, but I always believe, even when on my downest day, I'm able to at least think, and I really believe this, in all my heart, I always feel like every single day you wake up, if you are aware and present, greatness could happen at any point, at any
Anytime.
moment. Something could totally. Are you yawning on me, Vicky?
She had the red
I
one.
saw you yawn earlier, and I didn't say anything. But that's your third yawn.
We should make a rule. If you yawn yawn at the Weirdo Weber podcast, you have to take a shot of James.
Oh, jeez.
Are we boring you, Vicky?
I get up at 5 o'clock, okay?
Oh, do you get up early? Do you? Oh,
I know you get up earlier than
do
me.
you get
I
up early?
know.
What time do you
I
wake up?
know.
2:30.
Chinese dentist?
What?
Do you know it's time to go to the Chinese dentist?
2:30.
2:30.
Come on. Becky.
Are you trying to get us fucking emails?
Can I have some more J-Bo?
I don't know. Actually, cut him off. Because I don't want to hit any more Beckett hate emails. I got to answer those, Beckett. Good stuff, though. That was good. That was deep. I like that. I like when it gets deep.
I am noticing that, like you say, everybody has a little bit of something. My OCD is getting out of control. You can ask my daughter, like, I walk in the house and I think that I smell animals, even though I don't smell animal. Like, I ask other people, do you smell, can you smell the rabbit cage? Can you smell the dog? Whatever. And they're like, no. And they would be honest with me. And I sweep the floor a couple times a day. I mop, more than the average person.
Do you think the OCD is an age thing or is it a mood thing? Because I actually, when I was a kid, I got shuttled into therapy because I think when you kind of look at it, it was OCD. I had obsessive compulsive thought. I couldn't, if anything was on a line, like for example, this kindness matters sign was on the line hanging off the table, I had to move it off. If not, God was going to be mad at me and I would obsess about that. And I get worried, I get terrible cramps in my stomach. But I found that I would go into those kind of moments of OCD mania when I was worried about something or something was on the horizon. And I wonder, is it our moods that bring some of this shit on, or is it age, or is it both?
I don't know. I mean, mine's mostly about cleanliness. I always want my house to be clean, and I don't want to see, because I have animals. So I'm very conscious of, I don't want to smell the cat box. I don't want to smell the rabbit litter. I don't want the dog to smell. And then I have dark floors, and my dog is a German Shepherd. She has long hair, so I'm constantly sweeping. I guess I'm like, because it's my house now. It's not my mom's house. And I think it's part of it has to do with ownership. And I'm more accessible now, where I might actually have a neighbor stop in and say hi, and I want to make sure everything's perfect.
So there's a legit reason behind your OCD. Right. I think with all of this shit, for you, there's a reason. For me, I don't know some of the shit, but I think sometimes you can kind of zero in on why something is something, and then sometimes you just don't know. Denny's awfully quiet.
You guys are running away with this one. So. Yeah, I mean, we've touched upon so much. I mean, where do you want me to start here?
I think that part of it's baseball. Baseball caused me to be probably a lot more superstitious
yeah.
in things than I probably would have been.
My Italian roots. Oh my gosh, I was raised in superstition. Between my mom and Ann, if you kiss the dog 3 times, you're going to do good in your test. All right, come here. I mean, there was always this weird, if your left hand is itchy, you're going to get money. If your right hand is itchy, you're going to owe money. I mean, everything I did was, holy shit, the universe is always working, man.
Right, that's funny.
This is a creepy email. It says, am I to blame? I escaped a murderer back in 1989. I was living in West Palm Beach. A guy said he wanted to take pictures of me. He said he was a photographer for a skating magazine. I was 16 at the time, so I told him I'd go with him for a photo shoot. Long story short, he tried to stab me once we got in the car. I somehow kicked him right in the face as we struggled. At first, he was really nice. Then as soon as we got in the car, he started saying things like, "You made a mistake, girlie," and "Your mom is about to lose her daughter tonight." Something happened that I can't explain. I started to pray out loud. It was then I felt a spiritual power take over me. That's when I ended up getting what I call superhuman strength. I blocked the knife of this so-called murderer, kicked him in the face. Then I ran out of the house. He drove off. As he peeled out, I heard him saying, "I'll be back for you, bitch." I told nobody, not even the police, because I was afraid I was going to get in trouble for getting in the stranger's car. My parents were super strict and would have gotten super pissed. My regret is this. I feel like he killed people after. If he did, do you think I'm partially to blame for other people dying? Jane, South Florida.
The reality of the situation is if she had reported it, more than likely they still wouldn't have found him because there probably wasn't a whole lot of physical evidence or any kind of thing that they could have done in the case. I know that my daughter was at a Walgreens this past week and there was a man that was acting extremely odd, and it disturbed all of the shoppers that were in Walgreens. So she said, I really feel bad. What if he goes and he does something to somebody? We called the sheriff's department and they were very dismissive. And I was yelling across the room and I said, well, tell him that if he goes and kills somebody, then it's on their conscience because you felt the need to report this.
What exactly was he doing?
It was just his overall demeanor. Like, she was in line because I was in the car and she was in line. There was a couple who were also checking out, and there was just the way he was dressed and the way he was looking at people. He went out of the store, then came back in and looked very suspicious. And the people, the husband and wife who were there, they offered to walk her to the car because they were uneasy. The cashier was uneasy. I think there was somebody else in there that was everybody who was around this person was very uneasy. But she was completely dismissed. So to the person who wrote the letter, you may have reported it, and I guarantee you probably nothing would have happened.
Yeah, I would also say this. You're just a 16-year-old girl minding your own business. You didn't ask for any of this. You were a kid. Let go of all that. You did not know how to handle that because I don't think you knew how to handle that. You were a kid. Mm-hmm. And that's a horrific situation. Mm-hmm. And if you also have things where you're not supposed to get in your car or with a stranger and your parents would be mad on top of that, and if they weren't there, I just know some people, you could go through a horrific situation, you tell them that, and they don't give a shit because they weren't involved with it. And now they're going to make you feel guilty or bad or get on a restriction, and you just went through a horrific experience. Let go of the guilt. If it's not your fault that guy is evil.
And the fact is, you don't know for sure that he went on to hurt anybody else. You don't know that for a fact. So don't assume that is, even though you have a feeling, don't assume that that's what happened.
Could you imagine that, though? You get in a car and someone's got a knife at you, and they say something along the lines of, your mom's not going to see her daughter tonight. My
Terrifying.
God.
I think for the writer, they should let go of the guilt. It's been a long time, and she was a kid. But for anyone listening, and just as a general practice, like, your parents will get over it. For anyone else listening, that anything crazy happens. And probably the responsible thing to do, even if you're 16 or 18 or 30 or 50, is to report it.
110% agree.
Yeah.
I think we're at a time now where everybody is talking about, see something, say something. If someone does something horrific to you, there's so many people that are going to want to believe you. They're drama. Yes, tell it.
Right.
You're going to get people on your side. So
Yeah.
if something bad happens to you, don't be afraid to come forward. I mean, 1989, definitely a different time. We're talking 30 plus years ago. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
And even,
like
we were a little disappointed in the sheriff's department's reaction to calling, no, he didn't commit a crime. But we're trying to tell you that there were multiple people who thought that this activity was suspicious. What does it hurt for you to send a car to the parking lot of that drugstore? I mean, there's no reason why you can't send a car out there to check and see what's going on.
Totally.
To change the subject a little bit, have you guys been, and I know we are going a little long here, I'm trying to wrap it up, just get so much to talk about. The coronavirus, holy shit, people are getting freaked out by this. I went to go buy surgical masks for a bit we are not doing anymore, and 4 different stores were sold. We went to 2 Publix, we went to a Walmart and a CVS. They are all sold out of these surgical masks. I want to play a clip for y'all. This is the latest update dropping today when it comes to the whole what's the name of it?
Coronavirus.
Thank you.
1,000-bed pop-up hospital at the center of the coronavirus
Hold
outbreak.
on, that's
now
not going
accepting
well.
its first patients. China reportedly running low on medical supplies and test kits, with nearly 20,000 confirmed cases, 428 known fatalities. Here in the U.S., 11 confirmed cases, 9 involving patients who'd been to China. A Seattle area man who was the first American infected has been released from the hospital saying he's getting better and will remain in isolation at home.
The situation in China is very serious. We have a low risk currently, but that risk could change.
The Americans who are sick have experienced mild to severe flu-like symptoms, some requiring oxygen. Washington Dulles, one of 11 airports nationwide that will medically screen Americans who have been in China over the past 2 weeks.
It's crazy.
Ridiculous.
And talk about misinformation. I mean, there's people out there posting things, look at partial reports on something and say, oh, it's in Palm Beach County, it's this and that. And they just need to actually research and see what's going on. Don't read just half of a headline. Read the actual article.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember this, but bird flu. Remember bird flu?
Yeah.
There's rumors that it's coming back.
Jeez.
Are they all?
Another day, another virus.
Son of a bitch. I'm not sure why that's not playing.
I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I actually heard that the virus is so small that those face masks don't even work. It goes right through it, which is horrible. And it's one of those things. I think it came from Wuhan province, and it was like something where they were like in a market with bats. I have to fact check myself, but like, it's people doing stupid stuff. Like, come on, like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So there's that Netflix special that's running all the pandemic kind of bullshit. Do you guys, do you think in our lifetime a large group of people are wiped out from a pandemic?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
We're talking like a old school rat teeth flu kind of a thing?
Yeah. Well, the Black Plague, all that was influenza.
Yeah, but how long ago was that?
When was that? Medieval times?
Yeah, when's the last time we've had a plague that knocked out a lot of people?
I think it was like...
It was I think less than 150 years ago. Like in the early 1900s, I thought.
Well, they considered AIDS an epidemic. They considered that an epidemic.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the definition of an epidemic is, but the Black Plague, I don't remember. I have to fact check myself. I think it's like a third of Europe basically died as a result.
Yeah, that's the one I think. There was another one, though, and I think in the early 90s, Kevin from the KVJ show just talked about it, and it wiped out millions of people within 12 months.
Yeah. No.
And I think what we do, too, we tend to over-medicate. Like, I know people who, they have a little cough, they go and they get an antibiotic. And your body is designed to help fight these things on your own. And I think the more we depend on every day taking this medication, like say you're doing emergency every day, and every time you go and you get an antibiotic, when something hits, your body's not going to be able to fight it. And it would have already built up an immunity to that antibiotic. So I think it's totally possible for us to be wiped out.
Not to put Denny's on the spot here, but the email... here's an email. It says, Dear Weird Whatever, I am scared shitless by this coronavirus. I've been watching that show on Netflix about pandemics, and they keep on saying it's not a matter of if, but when, like Beckett's talking about. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts? Are you scared about this potential pandemic, or do you think this is just typical media trying to scare the shit out of us? Is it really that bad? Kind of like the bird flu back in 2007. Please make me feel better. Sincerely, Lance. Lance, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give 15 seconds for Denny's to give you just a warm, inspirational speech to make you feel better. And Denny's, go for Lance.
Lance, I would worry because a lot of people died during the bird flu. I know, America... I guess they kind of downplayed it, but I mean, a lot of people did die from that. Same with this virus as well, the coronavirus. I think people should watch out and stay away from public areas until I think that's the way to do it.
I couldn't agree more. It's kind of like we talk about hurricanes. People say
so I just want to make sure that was the Braveheart make you feel better speech. Okay,
I don't know how I'm gonna make him feel better. I think he should worry.
Yeah.
I don't think you should worry to panic
100%.
state, but I think you should definitely take care of yourself and try to stay away from public places.
Yeah, it's like we talk about when there's a hurricane, it's Cat 5 barreling towards West Palm Beach. And everyone's like, oh, I'm not going to put my shutters up, And then it wobbles and turns last minute and goes north and, hits North Carolina as a Cat 3. And people are like, see, everyone was freaking out. I'm like, no, we got really lucky. It was good for the people. Don't make fun of people that put their hurricane shutters up when there was a Cat 5 barreling down and prepared. Like, that's ridiculous.
And don't shame people who don't put up shutters in a Hurricane 5. Right, Vicky?
That's true. The only difference I would say, if someone,
Beckett, are you trying to be a Boy Scout?
the only difference I would say is that if someone doesn't take their own preparations for a hurricane, it's their house.
I agree.
It's their own thing.
I agree.
The virus.
Not to like let the ball slide into vaccinations and everything like that. But the problem, I know, but the problem with people not caring about health and whatever, that can affect me. You know what I'm saying? If someone traveled to, Western China and came back and had a fever and didn't tell anyone, like, that doesn't just affect them. That wasn't them just not putting their shutters up. Now it's going to affect my family and my business and my friends. And that's when I think it's a problem. And I think it's always better to be, it's like being overdressed is way better than being underdressed to any event. It's way better to be cautious because something like this, it becomes a domino effect.
Well, you always hear of those, there's that weird saying or stat that go, 93% of the stuff you worry about never ever happens. Is that just one of those things where, growing up as a kid, I was always afraid an asteroid was going to destroy the earth and, oh my gosh, we're going to die. It's probably not going to happen in our lifetime. I'm worrying about something that is such a small sliver of that's not living, baby.
Totally. Well, you could make that case for tests, exams that I had in school. If I didn't worry for any test, I probably would have failed every single one. Mm-hmm. So for me being worried and stressed out about test, it caught my ass to like crack a book open, make some note cards, and study. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes I tell my friends and the students I teach, I go, stress isn't always bad. Failure isn't always bad. A bodybuilder lifts to failure. Stress can be challenging and can make you be better than you think you are. So I think those things are good. And when it comes to something that's world health, people should be scared and they should be cautious and do the right thing.
Failure, that's the great equalizer. It really is. If you don't fail, you are going to be a dick to be around.
Yeah, that's why, going back to your earlier point, tying it all in, people that get coddled, kids that get coddled, and they get participation trophies instead of winning and losing baseball games.
Gosh, man.
They never lose.
Now,
they never learn the lesson.
I am a fan of giving kids a certification of completion. For example, if a kid plays on a team and they go out there the entire time and they try hard, they get a certificate of being part of something. Now, with that said, there's also going to be an MVP and an awesome kid award to somebody who excels, because that's the real life, baby.
Totally.
But I do love being positive and reinforcing completing something is very important in life. And I think that's a great lesson for kids. I love the whole... all that shit. I don't like where we all get a number one trophy.
Yeah, I get it.
No one's winning on that one.
Totally agree.
Here's a creepy email. I'm going to read this email, do a quick round of Would You Rather, we'll be done. Creepy email. Dear Weird Whatever, I feel like I'm a monster. Not like from this earth. I feel my powers growing stronger every day. I don't know how much longer I can contain the beast within. What should I do when I get these urges to hunt? Please help me find peace, Vicky. Please help me find peace, Jaybird. I don't want to be a hunter of the night. I try reading spiritual texts, but that seems to make the beast within angry of late. Does anyone else feel like they have a monster living inside them? Jason, I know you'll understand me. Jason, please read this so the beast can hear. Sincerely, Mr. Heartache.
We didn't address Denny's and I, so that's you guys.
Denny's going to hear something like that. Is that creepy for you?
Yeah, you wonder if somebody's trolling.
Are they trolling, or are they really a hunter, Vicky?
Yeah, no, my first is it a made up email. My next response would be, I'm not being flippant when I say seek professional help. Totally. If you really believe that your first step, and even if you go through a psychic medium or a paranormal team or anything like that, the first step a good team will tell you is to go get a psychological evaluation before we can help you. That's what a good team's going to tell you. So, I would, if you really feel that way, I would get some professional help.
All right, let's do some Would You Rather real quick.
Can I have some JMO for the Would You Rather?
I don't know. You're stuttering. I don't know what's going on. Here you go. I'm not. No, you grab the bottle, Beckett. I'm not your bartender. Did you just break my 1989 vintage?
I just grabbed the bottle.
Would you rather have your private parts covered in fire ants once a day for an hour, or would you rather only have lobster clamps for hands, like legit lobster hands from the sea?
If the fire ants bite me, do I have like remnants of
Yes,
it?
you have bumps.
So it's gonna affect my sex life.
Well, you got bumps.
I think I'm gonna go lobster ants.
Vicky's going lobster hands.
I think you'd have to.
You're going lobster hands
Rock
too.
lobster.
Yeah, because the
Really? Yeah, every day getting
you're gonna get bit.
Yeah.
And
An hour's a long time too.
That's a long time. A daily?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be plaguing you. I think I go with lobster hands
if it was
too.
once a month.
Once a month's different for you?
Yeah.
All right, let's
so you
check-
could heal
Okay, all right. Very, very good, Denny's.
once a day. Good gosh.
Would you rather wake up with a duck beak or wake up only being sexually attracted to ducks?
It's gonna be non-consensual though. Or let it be known. It will be.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good chance if you're rolling dice.
It's a good thing I have that corkscrew, D.
You love that corkscrew. You're all about that corkscrew.
I'd rather have the duck bill.
I would have a duck bill.
I'd make it a thing.
Imagine waking up and you just, I got to get laid by a duck. Oh, I need it.
I think
terrible. What a curse.
I think I would go sans duck bill, but have the girl I'm dating dress up as a duck.
No, Beckett. No, it doesn't work that way. Duck bill or you want to bang a duck. That's the way. That's it. That's it.
I would think she's a duck. She looks like a duck. It's like a furry thing.
No. In fact, you are not allowed to answer next when you're in timeout. Vicky, your answer?
Do you have to be do you actually have to follow through with your attraction, or can you just be attracted?
It's basically you have the urge of a vampire that yearns for the taste of blood.
Well, then I'll just move someplace where there's not any ducks.
There's ducks everywhere. It's duck. There's so many ducks.
Okay,
You're trying
fine,
to pull
duck
my
bill.
loophole.
I mean, but I'm just saying, you wake up every morning. Oh gosh, I wish I had a duck. Fuck. That's what I'm saying.
I'll go with the duck bill.
Yeah.
To go with the lobster.
What about you? What a sight.
That'd be
I
hilarious.
gotta go duck bill. I don't want to screw a duck, y'all. That ain't what I'm about. Would you rather only eat ankle scabs for the rest of your life, or only eat 110 calories a day full of worms?
I'm going ankle scabs.
Because you can eat 300 calories of ankle scabs. You're going worms, ain't you, Vicky? Or you want a little Parmesan in them?
Come back around. Come back around. I gotta think about it.
Ankle scabs, probably.
Like, hey, Bird, what are you eating? I'm just a bowl full of ankle scabs. Y'all have some.
Only because there's gonna be those days where you're kind of like hungry, and 150 calories is not gonna cut it.
When you're that painful hunger, that's rough.
Well, what if you wanted to go out for pizza with me? And I'm like, oh, I can only eat worms? Like, that would suck. Like, I want to have pizza with you. So if I have to, like, handle some scabs. Like,
But that's all you can eat, though.
oh, that's
all
the
you can
only...
eat.
Oh, I thought that...
Oh, I thought you could eat other food if you ate the scabs.
No.
Oh.
You wake up every day when you're hungry. You're eating boxes of scabs, y'all.
Oh, and that's the only thing you could
Yes.
It's the only-
You
I'm
think
going
there's-
worms.
You think there's going to be an easy out on Would You Rather? Dog, you're eating scab burgers.
Yeah, you can prepare the scabs however you want, right?
Thank you, Denny's. Gosh, good.
Well, I can prepare the worms any way I want to, right?
Thank you, Vicky.
Okay, I'm going worms.
You could do a little cheese.
A little saute.
I think I would be in
Little
better
salt.
shape with the worms because there's more protein. I think I'm going worms.
Vicky,
Worms.
Denny's.
I think I might still say scabs.
I'm going with Denny's. Scabs.
Because you can only have 150 calories of
I don't
worms.
think there's any nutritional value in scabs.
Dog, there ain't that much in worms either.
There has
There's
to be
protein.
something.
Yeah.
Of course, he knows the fucking calories on worms. Okay, 2 more questions. We're almost done. Would you rather weep every time every time you have sex, or
All right, so like always, and
Who says I don't?
What's
or
different?
loudly fart every time you eat or consume a drink?
oh jeez,
Oh, cry.
cry
like a bitch.
ADL.
I'll find some real emo girl.
Play some
That's like
Elliott
real
Smith.
into it. Real into it.
Find a goth girl.
Yeah.
Who's real sad.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. A good planning, Becky. Very good. Last question, and this is more of an easier one. Would you rather be stuck for life in a Burger King or a McDonald's? Explain why.
Burger King, Impossible Burger. Boom.
And they got onion ring sauce too.
So hold on. There's a lot going on here. So Denny's, you're going Burger King?
Yeah, I think I'm a fan.
Well,
of
I think Burger King gives you your own fountain drink. McDonald's doesn't. They keep it behind the desk.
That's
true.
That's such a statement said by a guy who does not eat McDonald's that often. That's not true at all.
They have fountains outside?
Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Becky acting like it's 1979 in here.
Yeah, more of a drive-through guy.
You invited this guy here?
I'm gonna do Burger King because I like the onion rings and the
Denny's.
zesty sauce.
My baby loves them onion rings.
Yeah, Burger King's pretty good. They stepped up their game, actually.
They did.
Yeah.
Vicky, you're awfully quiet.
McDonald's.
I'm
Because of the
torn.
fries.
So the fries are really good.
Fries have always been a strong point of McDonald's.
McDonald's has the best fries.
Yeah. I think Burger King always had the best milkshakes, without a doubt. They had a strawberry milkshake.
Get out of my house.
What do you think's better?
McDonald's is great, but you will, without a doubt, get a brain aneurysm trying to suck out that straw. It is so tough to get any kind of anything through that straw.
McDonald's?
You're like, dude, try to sip a McDonald's shake.
I'll have a
You will
contest with
blow
you.
out an eardrum.
You take a McDonald's milkshake. I'll do a Burger King milkshake. We'll see who drinks it faster.
Damn, these fast food awards got stopped. Dog.
We gotta stop these fast food wars. All right, y'all. Brittany, what do we have for announcements? Come on down for an announcement. Yeah, Brittany is our new producer. If you don't know, make some noise for Brittany. Woo! What are we trying to promote? What's our question of the day? You have to come up with it.
Question of the day.
Yeah.
Did you want me to discuss
Yeah.
anything I wanted to talk about? Or
Brittany does have a quick topic about robots taking over the world.
So I know Beckett will like this one because I know he really likes robot sex. But they basically were talking about how Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk, one of the things they said that they're most worried about is artificial intelligence. And they even had an open letter when Stephen Hawking was alive in 2015 stating, like, please don't advance this. But of course, we're humans and we did that anyway. So they were talking about how they created this AI where they were promoting like unconditional love. And they've done this before. I'm not sure if you remember, there was this robot called Tay. And basically he was introduced to Twitter, and within 24 hours he was saying things like, I love Hitler, like the Jews need to die type of thing.
My God, really?
Because the trolls were like feeding
That's
him, and he was
terrible.
so it was a robot that was reading like texts and tweets of normal people, and people were trolling, but it became like this monster within 24 hours.
That's horrible. So it became a bigot, racist robot within 24. Wait, if you're feeding Twitter into anything, it's going to turn evil.
Totally.
If you mix Twitter with a pizza, you have an evil pizza.
That's true.
The worst pizza ever.
And then they were talking about how they did the opposite of that experiment, where they were just giving unconditional love statements to AI. And this was like an NPR podcast I listened to, and they were saying how the robot was like named Sophia, and how it was getting creepy because it was observing like mannerisms in your face and everything, and they started feeling unsettled, and it would ask questions like, why do you feel that? And if you've prompted it before with like personal questions, it would be like, is it because your father died? Do you have like these issues inside of you? And some people were like, oh, this is good, like we can learn from this, and other people are like, it's gonna learn our secrets and turn on us as we're going towards Terminator.
Right.
I don't know if this is the right move. I mean,
What, AI?
I see why people want to get into it, but I think that should be the question of the day. Is AI a good thing for humanity? And let us know in the chat room after this video is uploaded, and it really does help us out. People always say, how can we help the Weird and Whatever podcast? Please leave comments. Leave a shit ton of comments. Even if you hate the podcast, leave something in the comment section after we are done uploading this. Not in the actual chat room, what you guys are doing right now. Let it upload. Give us your answer. Is AI, is all that stuff, is that good for humanity, or is it something that's going to actually put us in extinction? Seriously, some people think robots are going to not only take our jobs, but they may overcome all of us. Vicky, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything in the extreme is harmful. So I think the more power it gets, it's going to become more harmful than helpful.
I don't think you like robots.
No, don't.
And back in the day, back in the 50s and 60s, they used to call them robots.
Robots.
That's a true story. All right, guys, thank you for listening to the Weird and Whatever podcast. We love you all, and
Bigfoot is real.